Good morning, Ugly Mug Marketing friends and followers. Welcome to another edition of Ugly Mug Marketing Coffee Chats, the live show where we drink our coffee and talk about marketing, leadership, and everything in between. My name is Hannah Balia, and I'm the Director of Communications and Teaching here at Ugly Mug. And today I am joined by Lily. Lily is one of our marketing coordinators. She has worked with dozens of clients at this point who are from various industries, from an audiovisual company all the way to an early childhood network in Louisiana. So she has had really a good, well-rounded career here at Ugly Mug. And I'm really excited to dive into our conversation today, which is all about billboards, which seems kind of off-brand for Ugly Mug because I feel like we're really like ahead of the trend and usually talking about digital marketing, but we are here today to talk about billboards because first and foremost, we want you to know that billboard marketing and advertising is not dead. And it can be something that, when used effectively, can actually make a massive difference in your entire marketing strategy and could be a very good tactic for your business to utilize in your marketing strategy. So Lily is going to share with us all about billboards. She is an expert in this area and has certainly had her fair share of clients who have incorporated billboards into their marketing mix, and she has seen some really great results. So before we dive into all of the results that she has seen, we are going to just kind of jump in on these other questions. So welcome, Lily.
Hi, how are you? I know we just saw you the other day whenever you were in town, and that was great. And we missed you. We wish you were back here. Alex, too, if you're watching this.
Yeah, right. All the remote people at Ugly Mug, mad shout out to you all. Well, awesome. Cool. So let's just jump into things. Some people might be watching this and they're thinking billboards are dead. You can't convince me otherwise. What do you say to that person?
So whenever I was like thinking about this, I was just thinking about all of the billboards that really catch my attention out there. And so whenever you ask me, or whenever you say billboards are dead, I think I'll believe that whenever I don't see a Gordon McKernan billboard on the side of the highway on my drive to work. I think I count maybe 3 or 4 of just his that I see alone every single morning and then every single evening. So I believe that billboards will be dead as soon as he's done using them, which will probably be never. So that's my stance on billboards and their longevity and all that fun stuff. So
yeah, for y'all who don't know who Gordon is, he is a like personal injury attorney or like accident, attorney in, I think his main office is in Baton Rouge. If you've probably seen it, it's like this giant tall building when you're driving on I-10, and it has a giant G on the side of it. But as a testament to that, I remember driving from like Lake Charles into Baton Rouge, and the sheer number of Gordon McKernan billboards on that stretch is just wow. Like,
and what something that he does that like he changes them pretty frequently, which I know is not very cost effective for a lot of people who maybe utilize billboards or want to do advertising. But whenever he changes them, he really keeps up with the trends. And I know like we'll talk a little bit more about like the components of an effective billboard and all this fun stuff. But like he really keeps up, like he doesn't keep the same billboard up and running 365 days a year. When Barbie came out, he had a Barbie themed billboard. Whenever LSU won the national championship, he had Kim Mulkey and Livy Dunn, like all these famous LSU athletes on a billboard, and had them, I guess, as like, what is it, like NIL athletes or whatever. Or like during St. Patrick's Day, he has, that kind of theme going on. So he like really keeps up with the trends, and not that you have to change it, every single week or however often he changes it, but he definitely is someone like, you might not need a personal injury.
He's watching and he's paying attention to the trends.
His marketing.
He's catering his marketing. Yeah. I'm like, whoever is on the Gordon, team for marketing, like they need a raise. They know what they're doing.
Yes, exactly.
So what types of clients are you working with who are currently utilizing billboards? I just think this is helpful from the context of like, there might be people who are like just getting started in their business watching this. And it's like billboards aren't really feasible for them right now, but it could be something that they kind of enter into later. Like what types of clients, again, are you working with who are utilizing billboards right now?
So one client or two clients that I'm working with that have billboards are actually the same type of client, which they are early childhood networks. So in two different places, they're not competitors at all. But both of my clients that are early childhood both utilize billboards because whenever you're looking at their demographic, and I know we've talked about this whenever it comes to like QR codes and why they use them, but their demographics not always going to be one specific type of person. Yes, it's going to be parents and grandparents, but you're looking at lower income, higher income. And billboards don't, in my opinion, for your target audience, have a demographic that they appeal to, simply because if you are on the highway, if you're walking just somewhere where billboards are available, like you don't have to have money to see this billboard. Like you don't have to have a phone to get on Facebook. You literally just have to be in an area where there is a billboard. It doesn't matter where you, like what kind of house you live in, what kind of car you drive, what kind of phone you have. Billboards are a target audience for, or have a target audience of a vast variety of people. So for them, they utilize billboards for that exact reason. And especially because they are so niche to their areas, they're not competing against other schools. They are the only, early childhood network. So it's like they have these billboards and pretty much all they need is like a very simple design call to action. And that's really all they need to get to their target audience, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And then another client that I've worked with that has utilized billboards is someone with multiple locations that are actually connected by a highway. And so we've previously worked with Central Louisiana Metal Supply, Thompson Metal Supply. They have two locations. CLMS is right here in Alexandria. TMS is in Leesville. I know, Hannah, whenever you lived here, you lived in Leesville. So, it's a straight shot back and forth. And so utilizing that multiple location aspect of your business is really good, because one thing you can do is on the highway to Leesville, you have a billboard for TMS, and on the highway back to Alexandria, you have one for CLMS. And this also works if you have, like, with their names being so similar and their branding being the same, which goes back into why branding matters. If you've ever listened to a coffee chat or something from Ugly Mug about why branding matters, here's an example of that. They have two different names, both ending with metal supply, but they have the same exact branding. And so to have that cross paths on the highway, especially, like I said, you went back and forth. There are probably plenty of people, especially those
lots of people,
especially with spouses on base who work in Alexandria, who are driving these highways every single day, 5 days a week at least. That's another good kind of client to have billboard usage for, especially with that highway connection.
Yeah, absolutely. So school systems and networks, and then people that are multi-location. But it sounds like being intentional with where those billboards are. We're going to come back to that. But who else could you see billboards being effective for? So outside of multi-location, outside of school systems or networks, like what other kinds of industries?
So I know that anyone watching this is not going to like this answer, but the answer is really there's not an industry that could not benefit from a billboard. And I know I've said this twice already, but we're going to dive into this a little bit later about why I say that. And it's because as long as you're strategic about the placement of your billboards and you have a strong call to action, it really might be worth your while to test it out. So I really hate to tell you, but there's really not an industry that, in my opinion, that I can think of that would not benefit from a billboard.
Yeah. And we're going to talk about this in a little bit too, but how can I tell if my billboard is actually effective and making money, so to speak? Like, how do I know if I'm actually getting a return on this investment? Because in our email that went out yesterday from Lily, I think or maybe it was our social media post yesterday, it spoke a little bit to how much is this going to cost me? Like, billboards vary in pricing. And so that can kind of become a factor for many companies too. And that's honestly probably one of the main factors is, okay, but how much is this? Like, is this worth the investment, or should I make this investment in Facebook ads, or should I make this in print materials, or should I, invest this in PPC or in SEO, whatever it may be? Some billboards cost as little as $250 a month. Like, you just pay for the vinyl the one time, like Lily said, make sure you have that clear, concise, kind of evergreen message. And you just pay for the one time, and then it's $250 a month. other billboards depending on their location, especially in higher metropolitan areas. Like I would imagine like Houston, maybe in like a key location in Houston. I mean, it can cost upwards of like $10,000, $14,000, a month to be able to have a billboard there. So location, key in your strategy, but also can play a factor in how much your billboard is going to cost on a monthly basis. Or a lot of billboard companies too will kind of like lump it all together. So for 6 months, you'll have this billboard, and like this is kind of one cost, and that can kind of help to drive those costs down a little bit on a per month basis as well. Yeah. So just wanted to throw that out there too. Let's dive into the nitty gritty of billboards. What are 3 components of an effective billboard?
Yes. So the first one being the location, and this dives into exactly what we were just saying, but also the location plus whether or not it's a static or a dynamic. Are those the 2 words? I believe. Yeah. A static or a dynamic billboard. So I'm not sure if you've noticed, but I've definitely noticed if I'm driving on a really long piece of highway and interstate, you're going to see a lot of static billboards. This is, in my opinion, the reason for this is because you're not having the same people drive that same interstate multiple times in a day. Whereas the bridge over here that I pass or that I cross over to get to work, I cross it at least 4 times a day because I'm going home for lunch, coming back, coming to work, leaving. So on this bridge, we have one that is like the digital, and it changes, every 8 seconds, which we also get to at the end of this is how long do you have time to, catch someone's attention. But it's in a place where people are likely crossing over that bridge or crossing this path more than once in a day. And so, like I said, whenever you go back to the client that has the 2 locations that are separated by a highway, a static billboard makes way more sense for them because you really have that one chance per day to catch that person's attention. And you want to make sure that you can keep it as long as possible. And also, if you have a digital billboard right there, if I'm passing at 7 a.m. once a day, I'm only ever going to see one ad that's going on there anyway. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to want to put my ad somewhere where only every 9th person is going to actually see my ad when they're driving down the highway once per day. And so thinking of location, obviously this is a no-brainer, but putting a billboard in a place where your target audience does not live is not relevant for you. It's not going to work. And so just thinking about I know this is a really silly example, but the school system, I'm not going to put a Washington Parish billboard in Rapides Parish because
totally.
Yeah, you can't enroll to school here. So now I'm wasting money and your time, and I just look like a silly little goose in the wrong pond. So location definitely is a big component for an effective billboard for sure. The next one is something that I stress so much to my clients is that less is more. So the average driver has 3 seconds to get as much information from you as possible. This is whether you have a digital billboard or a static billboard. If they see your ad, you have 3 seconds to grab their attention, or not even to grab their attention, because your attention grabber is the next one, but you have typically the average time that your billboard will be up on a digital billboard is 8 seconds. And so of that 8 seconds, when someone sees it, you have 3 seconds to actually get their attention, to say here's their phone number. Like if you're driving down the highway and say you're local to Alexandria and you have your phone number up there, you really don't need to have 318 on there. You're just wasting time with that 318. You really just need to put that exact phone number. Or if you can spell out something within the last 4 digits, I can't really think of an example, but if how someone will say, call 318-555-LOVE, and then you have to press the letters that go with, or the numbers that go with love, having that, because people can remember words way better than they can numbers. So if that's possible, definitely recommend that.
But really, think about that, as far as a memory, from a memory standpoint. I always thought, oh, that's going to take someone so much more time. But if someone's driving and they well, I can remember that number, 800 dash whatever. That is much easier from a memery standpoint, because they're probably not going to call right then when they see the billboard, but they're going to call later.
Yeah, because they're not going to be okay, write this down, 555-3681. They're it's going to be 555-LOVE. 555 ring, something like that.
Yeah.
Because I can remember ring a lot better than 6439,
Yeah.
and so that's
So
a
how
really,
many words overall, like I know we've kind of been talking about phone numbers, but how many words overall are really important or effective on a billboard?
I would say the biggest thing, I'm not sure like exactly how many words you should have, but I know less is better, simply because you want their 3-second attention to go to what your call to action is. So if that's to
Yeah.
give them a call, then think about Sam Spurgeon. In a jam, call Sam. It's a catchy slogan, and then all you have to do is remember his phone number, because it's like in a jam, call him. His call to action is to call him. And so I would say if I can't read it, if you can't read it to me within 3 seconds, and then me also be able to capture whatever the phone number, the website is, then it's too many words.
Yeah. I think the average is like I think it's like 6 or 7 words. I think what was in the email yesterday, like 6 to 7 words, or just really anything that's less than 10 is really best practice. Because again, like if you're thinking about 3 seconds, if you can say it in 3 seconds and then somebody else can remember it or whatever it may be, yeah, I think that sweet spot really is like 6 to 7 like total words.
You also have to remember that like we don't know your bill, like we don't know your company. So you can tell me, you can read your spiel to me in 10 seconds, but I know nothing about your company at this point. So you have to look at your billboard and your marketing in general as someone that has no idea who you are, what you do. So you have to like disassociate yourself from your company whenever you're doing this too. Because, you can say like, oh, we have this really cool slogan, but that's great that you know it, but I don't know it, more than likely. And so just think of it from someone that's never ever seen your product or service before, and then kind of go from there. Or, have someone that's not a part of your company look over whatever you're about to publish or what you're wanting to do and say, if you didn't know me and you didn't know this company, or even ask a stranger, like they don't know you, they don't know your company, look at this and then turn it away from them and you say, now what did you see?
What do you remember?
What can you remember? And if it's absolutely nothing, then maybe we need to go back to the drawing board.
For sure. So let's talk a little bit about that, like attention grabbing.
Yes. So again, you have, regardless if it's static or if it's digital, you literally have anywhere from 3 to 8 seconds to grab somebody's attention. And I have some fun statistics to share with you guys. But 71% of people consciously look at billboards when driving. So I don't want you to like watch this coffee chat back and think like I'm trying to scare you away from getting a billboard. You're like, well, they only have 8 seconds to give me to like actually grab their attention. I want you to know that like if you do it well, it does work, because 71% of people consciously look at billboards when driving. I'm one of those 71% of people. So this is not just 71 people happen to look at it. These are people who actually consciously know that they're billboards and they take a look at them. I always like looking at billboards, especially if it has like, I don't know, something that grabs my attention, like a color, or even if you read the email yesterday, the ugly outfit.
Yes.
So, and then on top of the 71% of people consciously looking at your billboards when driving, 57% of the people who view billboards will actually check out your business within 30 minutes of actually seeing it. And then of that 57%, 93% of those visitors actually take action and make a purchase. So looking at this, again, I don't want you to be scared and say like, well, I don't know how I'm going to get people's attention in 8 seconds. It's possible. And then look at like the amount of people who are actually going to be viewing it once you actually do have it. That's over half of the people who are driving past your billboard every single day. And then it's almost 100% of those people who will actually make purchases or sales at the end of the day.
Yeah. All those stats are just so helpful. I see Armin is watching on LinkedIn, and he said late to the convo, but it's kind of like YouTube thumbnails, huh? And I'm like, that just kind of made me laugh, because I'm like, oh, that is so true.
Yes.
Like when I'm like scrolling, or like let's say, so like recently my husband and I were kind of like talking about like, what do we want to do for our anniversary next year? Like, do we want to start saving for like a big trip? And so now I'm like looking up like travel vlogs to Croatia. And I'm like, if you don't have like a really cool thumbnail, I'm just like, and I'm looking at thumbnail and I'm looking at total amount of people that have watched this video.
Mm-hmm.
The video could suck. The thumbnail could be a total front for whatever, but I'm like, I am looking at that thumbnail.
Yeah.
That's
yes. And as
So it's kind of
somebody,
like a cool contrast there.
I've been watching YouTube. I'm like in that generation, and I'm sure you are too. Like I grew up watching YouTube. That YouTube was my TikTok growing up, you know?
Yeah.
So I have been watching the same YouTubers for 10 plus years now. And it's so hard for me to branch out to find new YouTubers that I want to even watch because I'm just so stuck on these people that I've been watching for so long that it really does take a good thumbnail to really get my attention. And so same thing for billboards. If you aren't, creating a business that's never been created before, there are probably plenty of people who have the same exact type of business that you do. So what are you going to do that's going to make me want to switch from them to you? Same thing with YouTube.
Yeah.
What's going to make me want to click on your YouTube ad? What's going to make me want to call you once I see your billboard?
Yeah. Speaking of like clicking on something, I think that's what is so appealing about things like PPC ads and Facebook ads and any sort of like click.
Trackable. Yeah.
We can track it, right? Like we can see where that lead came from. We can see, like yesterday I was on a call with one of our home services clients and they were talking about like adding UTMs to our traffic campaigns so that we can see if that person actually came to the website and then converted into, and then like which version of the traffic ad did they come from. I mean, like we were kind of going down a rabbit hole,
Crazy.
but like it just got me thinking about, I think the reason so many people stray from even television ads or billboards or radio, which are kind of like considered old school, dead, potentially ways of advertising, people stray away from them because there are other methods that actually allow us to track return on investment. Like how much am I investing in this versus how much revenue is coming in that can be directly attributed to, this particular marketing tactic. So how can we actually make billboards trackable? How can we actually track results that really matter to our business using a billboard?
Yeah. So this is actually something that you and I and our website manager, Mallory, were just talking about, but was the whole unique phone number aspect of using like pixels or something on Facebook ads. That way you can directly contribute how they're getting from your ad on, or how they're getting from your Facebook to actually calling you. So this is kind of one of those like trust the process things. I know using a unique phone number can be a little intimidating because people think, well, if they see this phone number here, but they see this phone number on the website and they see this phone number on Facebook and they're all different, that's going to scare them.
Paying that much attention.
Yes. I want you to also know that people are a lot smarter than we give them credit for. As for me, I get it. Like if I see a phone number and it's different than what I see on your Facebook, I'm going to do a little bit of deep diving. But that's why also having a strong Facebook and website is important, because then if I can trust that what I'm seeing on your website is, real and true, then I know that I can trust your billboard as well. So unique phone numbers. This is something maybe Hannah can speak a little bit more to about like how all that works. But definitely think that's one good way to track billboards.
Yeah, a very cost-effective tool to having like a trackable phone number. So basically it's like, this is the phone number that people see on the advertisement, so on the billboard, but it just forwards to your actual like landline, your actual business number or whatever. So it's not like they're coming in.
You're not like having to buy a new phone.
No, you do not have to buy a new phone. It's just like, this is the number that we use on billboards, and it just forwards to our normal working line. But CallRail, CallRail, is a really great tool for this, because then you can actually track and see how many phone calls came in to that particular campaign or to that like billboard versus television versus, Facebook ad or whatever it may be. You can also like record phone calls on there too, so you can check the quality of the leads that are coming through. It's just a really cool tool. So definitely big advocate for adding unique phone numbers on billboards, but really they can be applied to so many other marketing methods as well. So
also, anyone that knows anything about billboards knows that no one is just going to put a random number on a billboard to catfish somebody, because billboards, like I said, those are an investment. I don't know anyone that's just out here buying billboards to put fake numbers, So you have to just kind of trust the process. And again, it's your billboard. So if it doesn't work, if you don't see it and it's still scaring you, change it next time. Another way that you can track using dedicated landing pages. So if your call to action on your billboard is to visit a certain part of your website, that they really can only access by putting in the exact URL, do that. And then you can track how many visits you're getting onto your website, that specific landing page.
And you might even have like a specific URL that takes them like to that landing page. So instead of like uglymugmarketing.com, maybe ours is like Ugly Mug Marketing Facebook or uglymugmarketingsocial.com. There's like a really big opportunity to add in some specific URLs and take them to, sorry, Armin just said, cancels plans to catfish people through next billboard.
Do not do that. Do not make me look like a fraud.
That's amazing.
Yes. And so another way, promo codes and then special offers. So obviously, if you put a promo code on a billboard, make it different than any other promo code that you're offering. Make it, if you're giving 50% off of something, you use Billboard 50 or UMM 50 or something that just like is different than any other one that you're using. That way, someone put in this promo code, then I know they got it from the billboard. That's a really good way to track that ROI for there. And then, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, like, because we'll have this sometimes with our clients, they use like billboards, or excuse me, our home services clients, they use billboards as a part of their overall strategy. Sometimes people will still call the number on Google, but they'll say, I saw your billboard. And so it's really important to make sure you're like listening to the phone calls and like, training your team. Like if you have a team of people that are answering the phones for you, hey, like, even though they came through on the Google number, like still attributed to the billboard. If they mentioned the billboard, definitely attributed to the billboard because that's ultimately where they saw it first, right? So,
which also leads into, which also leads into like the last thing, which is customer surveys. And we talk about this a lot when getting reviews or, wanting someone to just, tell people how you have been, how your services have been with them. Just ask them. That's one thing that we forget to do as far as like surveys and reviews go. Like just ask your customers, that they're working with you, they trust you, just ask them. So you can call them in your last conversation with them, like whenever you're finishing the transaction, how did you hear about us? I know I've definitely filled out surveys before when I bought stuff online. It's like, how did you hear about us? Through a friend, through radio, XYZ. And then as a customer, I really urge you to answer these questions because selfishly on the marketing side, it really helps us with our clients, just let them know like, hey, this marketing is working. Or if you're filling it out and you're not clicking billboard, it's letting us know, hey, this marketing is not working. So really, if you're ever given a customer survey on the customer side of it, I highly, highly encourage that you actually fill it out because it's helping everybody at the end of the day and you're not losing anything by doing it. So.
Yeah, totally. That's a really insightful conversation. And like, I hope if you're watching this and you're in a season of like, hey, I'm just getting my business started, like I do not have billboard type of money. Like when I hear you say like investing even $250 in a billboard per month, that's feeling like really steep for me. That's totally fine. But we're just saying this can be an option as you're kind of growing and scaling to help you reach that kind of broader audience. Lily gave us some really great examples of people that she's currently working with, from school systems to people that she has worked with in the past that have multiple locations, and being strategic about the placement of those billboards. Reminder that those three components of an effective billboard are really location, 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 making sure that you're being intentional about where that billboard is showing up, making sure that you understand that less is more, having that sweet spot of anywhere from 6 to 7 words on your billboard, using phone numbers. This was such an excellent point from Lily. Using those phone numbers that are like 555 love can be a great way to help people actually remember that number rather than like having to actually remember a full phone number. Or if you're promoting your billboard in a certain area and they don't need to actually type in 318 or 616 or 586 or whatever the area code is, just having that phone number there can be a really great way to kind of minimize how much they actually have to remember as they're passing by and seeing that billboard. Also taking into consideration, is it a static billboard or is it a dynamic digital billboard as well? And then making sure that you are actually using things that are attention grabbing. So remember, you have 3 to 8 seconds to actually capture their attention. And if 71% of people are consciously looking at billboards, we want to make sure we are using those 3 to 8 seconds wisely and getting their attention when they're passing our billboard. And then We talked about ways to actually make sure that our billboards are trackable. So that was the last thing we touched on, making sure we're using unique phone numbers. So using that tool CallRail if needed, having a dedicated landing page / URLs where you're actually sending the people so you can be tracking website traffic or how many people actually went to that landing page. And then promo codes and special offers, using unique promo codes on your billboards can be a great way to track things. And in addition to that, make sure you're actually paying attention to, are people saying, hey, I'm calling maybe on the Google number, maybe on the Facebook number, but I'm calling because I saw your billboard, which ties into that last one, like Lily said, of just customer surveys. Simply ask people how they heard about you. That can be a really, really great way to find out what marketing tactics are working, what's not working, and where you should invest more of your money. I'm going to bring Armin back up here again. He said, great stuff. I saw an amazing billboard trolling McDonald's right above a McDonald's on a mountainside behind the store. It was awesome. And then he said it was for Wendy's. So that really, I love that. Y'all, if you follow Wendy's on X, or formerly Twitter, now X,
Yes.
Wendy's, they coming back to, they don't care. Whoever is running that account is hilarious. And,
for sure.
Yeah. So I am not surprised at all by that billboard placement by Wendy's, because Wendy's definitely is bringing that energy on social media. So happy to see that they're also bringing that energy in billboards as well. That's very funny. Y'all, thank you so much for tuning in, whether you watched live or you're catching the replay. Next week, we're going to have another great edition of Ugly Mug Marketing Coffee Chats. I am excited to have y'all back next week. Same time, same place, streaming live on Facebook, not Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. What day is it?
I also have one more thing to say. I didn't do an introduction at the beginning of this, I guess, because
I know, and I'm still going to ask you your question. I'm still going to ask. Hang on.
I was going to say, I just know so many people have just seen me on here before, but I didn't get to talk about Mr. Flash. But if you're already going to ask me questions, and that's
no, I'm going to ask you another question here in just a second. So yeah, y'all, next time, same place, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central. Lily, thank you so much for joining us here today. My last final parting question for you is, what is one thing that you are looking forward to this year?
Yes. So the only thing that comes to the top of my head, so I just bought a house. Big girl moves, just paid my first mortgage payment today. Not fun at all.
Yeah.
I'm just excited for me, Mr. Flash, my golden retriever, to just, start this like new chapter of our lives. And because this is I've been living with my parents. I lived at college. I moved to Indiana. So this is like the first time I can like make something mine officially. Yeah. So I'm just really excited to do all the fun homeowner things for the rest of the year and until forever, because it's my house. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
I'm so excited for you. I think homeownership is it's the blessing and the curse, right? I mean, like, it's so amazing to just have that thing that's your own, but then it's like when something breaks, you can't call the landlord. Like, you are the landlord. So
I did get stung by a wasp yesterday for the first time ever, and then proceeded to kill 6 more. I went through an entire bottle of wasp spray. But I was like, honestly, if that's what I'm dealing with, then at least my $5 bottle of Raid fixed it. Could be worse.
Exactly. If you have any home ownership tips or tricks or go-tos or anything, feel free to pop those in the comment section. We would absolutely love that. Lily, thank you again for your time today and talking with us all about billboards. Like I said, we will be back next week. Coffee chat, same time, same place, 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Thanks for tuning in. Bye, everybody.